Where are we now? Quite simply, 2009 was an interesting year for Wales because it was the last year of a spending situation which came about as a comprehensive spending review which took place in about 2004-2005. And basically in Wales, because money was available, a needs budget was agreed. That every aspect of public spending in Wales, people were asked, what do you need to provide the quality of service that you think is desirable? And by and large, the money was provided to do that. And that lasted for 3 years, up to 2009. So really, 2009 is the high point of actual social provision in Wales, of the devolved budget in Wales. We are now 24% behind, in real value, behind that figure that was in 2009. Basically, the Welsh devolved budget is now 15.3 billion. What it actually should be is 18.16 billion. It's nearly 3 billion short of what it should be, just to have kept up with inflation since 2009. That's real cuts. Then on top of that, another aspect of the budget is growing needs. That obviously, and you all know in social services, things don't stay still. People like me get older and need care. You know, we're not so able, and the whole issue of domiciled care or institutional care starts to come up, and so on and so forth. And the estimate is that since 2009, there's been about £1 billion of extra needs to be covered, and it's not. It's absolutely not. It's being completely neglected. The need element in the Welsh budget and council budgets, in budgets across the UK, is being completely neglected. And then finally, it's not just the devolved budget coming to Wales. Of course, Wales is directly affected by the UK government's decisions on benefits. So universal credit is now being rolled out in Wales. That's not a devolved issue. And so all those cuts which come directly from the UK also hit Wales. And the estimate is, it's currently, by the end of this year, it will be about 1.5 billion less than in 2009. So basically, you add those figures up. You do it if you've done them. If you put them down, you can add them up. It comes to about 4.5 billion lost out of a budget of 15.3 billion. Can you imagine that? 4.5 billion has gone in terms of austerity. And what that means for households in Wales, it means you take sort of a fairly normalish. If you did it per household, I think the average household in Wales is about 1.2 people or something like that. So it works out at about 1,300 pounds per person per year that's being lost. But if you take a family of 4, 2 parents, you know, the average family's people say 2 children, that's about £6,000 a year. Every household in Wales of that size is losing as a direct result of these cuts. And frankly, it's a disaster. It's a real disaster. And we've tried, through People's Assembly in Wales, to bring this disaster to the attention of all politicians in Wales, but primarily, of course, to Plaid and to Labour, because really we think politically they're the ones who should be fighting austerity. UKIP and the Tories, they believe in it, they're imposing it, they justify it, you know. And so clearly we've got to put pressure on these people. Well, we've tried numerous ways. We've had demonstrations, we've had petitions, saying that no longer should the Assembly vote for another cuts budget, they should challenge the government directly. And this year we've tried another tactic, and that is that we've actually written to all Assembly members, and we've said to them and appealed to them. Basically, I just read one of the paragraphs. If, despite these representations, that's about the cuts, we are placed in a situation that by the November UK budget statement, the one that's just gone, the UK one, that we face another round of austerity cuts in Wales, we would ask you to explore every possible option to avoid further service cuts, such as fully utilising reserves, borrowing powers available to devolve services. If that proves not to be sufficient or possible, then we request that you use your powers as an Assembly member to set the budget based upon the consultation evidence submitted to you, needs-based budget basically, and vote against another cuts budget. That it's no longer possible for these people, these politicians, to turn around and say, we have no choice, our hands are tied, what can we do? You have a choice. You can say yes to more cuts, or you can say no to more cuts. And clearly saying no results in a whole series of political consequences, which could be quite challenging, to say the least. Some people would call it a constitutional crisis. Well, so be it, because people in Wales, people in the UK who are facing austerity, are facing an austerity crisis. And what you could stand up and say, well, we'll challenge you as the Tories constitutionally on behalf of these people who are facing the consequences of your policies. Now, it's a pretty hard demand, and it's a pretty extreme demand. It's a revolutionary demand almost, I suppose, in some respects, but why not? And what we've done is that we've asking now, and if you can look, it's online, if you go to, if you look up People's Assembly Wales, our blog post, and as the responses from the AMs are coming in, we're posting them up. And they make very, very interesting reading. Neil Hamilton, UKIP, as you would imagine, has got an amazing one up. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with capitalism? It's the EU which is all the problem, etc., etc., etc. But sure, that was his response. We put it up. From another Tory AM. Interesting response. I only speak to my constituents. As you're not my constituents, I'm not responding. See? Another response, Leonard Morgan, Labour AM, has said roughly the same. If my constituents write to me about this, I'll respond. But of course, quite clearly, we've been invited to a meeting. Mark Drakeford, who's the chair of finance, who's actually leading, if you like, the austerity. Who's actually putting together the next austerity budget for Wales. He said, yeah, sure, I'll meet you. Great, we'll have a meeting with him. And Plaid leader Leanne Wood, she's, long letter saying, it's really difficult, etc., etc., etc. But I'm afraid we've come to an agreement with the Welsh Government to abstain on the budget for the next 2 years, which will allow a budget to go through. But we would like to meet with you to talk about it. Well, okay, we'll meet, we'll talk about it, but we won't shift our position. And this is the position we'll put. Now,
areas of working life has really escaped the destructive and costly hand of the market. I think we all agree that the market is on decline. But no matter how inclement the weather, trade unions remain the most resilient organisations in society because they find ways of surviving, creating and prospering. We've obviously been damaged with the Trade Union Acts over the years, but trade unions on the rise again, and I'd like to emphasise that. The polls tell us that people power is also on the rise. The public recognises the need of public services to be in public hands, with public sector workers like social workers and other professionals being properly resourced to support the most vulnerable in society, especially in times of crisis. Being an activist can be difficult, it can be stressful, it can be very challenging, but it's incredibly rewarding. And this pack, the campaign pack, it's a great opportunity for us all to be more active. And I think we can all take that away from today. There's a little bit we can all do, and hopefully that'll help us a bit further. Do you think it's absurd that we have house prices and rents so high that folk can't get on the house and ladder? It's absurd. It's absurd that we have cuts to benefits so drastic that they're actually killing people. That's a reality. Folk are dying because of the cuts. It's absurd that we have a criminal justice system so struggling that justice itself is clearly impossible for many. They just cannot handle it. It's absurd that we have, in every sense, we have people struggling day in and day out, young people and families. So it's in every sense, it's the people we work with who are often at the hard edge of cuts. We see that as social workers, but I'm sure other colleagues and other professionals see that day in and day out. Austerity does not work, even in its own terms, because what it does is make the economy grow more slowly. The impact on the very people we've discussed is further evidence of this. Finally, let us all return to what we do well here in this room. I think we all want to be active. So for those people who say that the campaigning movement is in decline, I see evidence here that it's only too clear that it's not. Keep campaigning, keep active, and we'll facilitate change. Thank you. Cheers.
Doesn't dominate the screen. We were talking about apathy, that we feel that people don't think they can make a difference. are not standing up against budget cuts. We've seen massive increases in class sizes. We've seen people destitute and hungry turning to social services for basic provisions, food, heating. Budgets, local authority budgets, are being used to prop up basically lack of money from central government because of delays in benefit payments. People are having to pay back £20 a week when they're living on £80 a week. I don't know anyone who can live on £60 a week. I think an MP should try it without any, sort of propping up from friends and family or little secret, bit of money through the letterbox, or here you go, or a food parcel. Actually try and live on £60 to £70 a week with no other resources. So that's.
Hi, my name's Amy. I'm from Cardiff University and studying politics. Okay. You can see that through austerity there's been huge cuts to the public sector, which has caused it to go really bad conditions, which needs a lot of investment, but the only way the government would possibly do that is through privatisation, which is either tactical, so they can raise money and stuff, but it's also hitting people hard. The NHS, schools, education, like classes are getting larger, the waiting lists are a lot longer for people who need serious medical help. Also mention benefit cuts for single parents. It's making them a lot more difficult for them to get by looking after their children, feeding them, spending time with them. They're working long hours if they're not on benefits, or if they've got additional help, which by the time they get home they're tired, which means they can't spend proper time with their children. It's hitting everyone, and it's hard, and it's not just now, it's since the crash in 2007-8, and at the moment it's not going to change anytime soon until we do start standing up, which we can help.
Do you think that evenings like tonight need to be set up more around the country? Or?
Definitely, you need to mobilise support, and definitely, because I saw this through the internet, so it was just off by chance, and this is why I came here alone this evening. I think if you did a lot more advertisement, then a lot more people will come, especially like people my age as well. They need to be mobilised, and in the most recent general election, I think you can see that the youth vote has increased dramatically, so people are a lot more interested, getting more interested and politically active. So I think that's a definite opportunity for you to grasp. So if you do advertise it online, which is a mode of communication which people my age often use, it's going to be brought to their attention. I think a lot more people will be attending.
The austerity paper, the austerity briefing paper, which basically says that we have, as professionals, have a duty because of our positions to speak out against the harmful effects of austerity, and psychologists have looked at the evidence base, and they think there are five ailments that austerity brings that impact on a person's mental health. So if you are in a situation where you're going to face humiliation and shame, more so than you may already face. Fear and distrust, it causes instability and insecurity, isolation and loneliness, a sense of being trapped, and a sense of powerlessness. Which all have demonstrated impact on rates of depression, rates of anxiety, increased rates of admission, alcohol use, domestic violence, you name it. Austerity is having a massive impact. Prolonged humiliation can cause, has been shown to lead to clinical diagnosis of depression, so increased rates of depression that reduce functioning. Job insecurity is more damaging on mental health than unemployment. I don't know if that's something that you're familiar with. That's a standard fact. As you can see, being trapped in long-term instability can cause anxiety and depression, low levels of trust in a society can increase depression by nearly 50%. So if you're thinking about losses of youth clubs, losses of libraries, all of those kinds of things that are fragmenting neoliberalist ideas that are fragmenting the human connectedness and solidarity are all having a massive impact on our mental wealth. So there are 5 in response to those 5 ailments, Psychologists for Social Change are asking that all public policy uses these 5 indicators to make sure that we know what a healthy society looks like. And so when you're writing policy, it's important that you're considering what agency is that giving people. So we've seen lots of legislation about co-production and people being involved. That's really important stuff, and if we can realise that, that'll be really good. Security, so that's housing security, job security, benefit security, and all of these things are really important. The sense of feeling connected, so having those social spaces locally that are good social spaces to go, the libraries, the pub even perhaps, the community centres, and having those that aren't in disrepair are really important for general well-being. Having a sense of meaning and purpose, so whether that's a job or whether that's being able to be a good family member or whatever it is that's important to that individual, and trust. So I think we all probably share the understanding there's a massive sense of distrust within society at the minute. So we make three recommendations for a policy. It's basically what I've just said, really. So we want policy to be more equitable and participatory. So there are some exciting things coming out from Welsh Government in terms of new policy about future generation for sure, well-being. That one. Yeah. They're a really long title. And then that new one, social care and something. Yes, yeah, those ones, yeah. Really interesting theoretical stuff in those pieces of law. It'd be really good to see them implemented, actually implemented, and what that looks like on the ground. And we think it's really important that we do these things. Otherwise, it's really great that, like, for example, in England, they're looking to expand mental health services, or put mental health services into schools, and we can put them in job centres, and this is really great. But you're not stemming the problem. You're just working at a symptom level up here. You're not actually getting down to the root cause of these problems, which, as we know where those are coming from. It's all the things that we've been discussing tonight.
I'm looking forward to more activism, 2018. We need it now more than ever. And I'm going to read the poem, I'm hoping, to the staff group in Swansea from Paul Unwin, because it's so moving and it sums it up so well. So 12th of December, so here goes. Boot out austerity, yes!
Fabulous, great event, really enjoyed it. Lots of interest from people attending. Great to hear what's happening in Wales and some of the campaigning that's already going on, and also from the psychologists too. So really good event, and I'm sure it'll stimulate lots more action activity yet to come.
Yeah, it was great to sort of see a few different sort of people from doing similar sort of work from different perspectives, and I'll look forward to looking through the pack and seeing what's legal and what's not, because I actually need to know.
Oh, great.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it as well, and it was quite informal as well. Do you know what I mean? And it was cut up quite nicely, and I enjoyed it. It's really nice energy. Nice to meet you.
Well, yeah, it was really interesting, and the psychologist stuff was good as well. Obviously, it talks about a lens, to kind of put that all together, all the different perspectives. We know the effects in social work every day, don't we? And that's what makes me angry, is seeing it get worse every day I go in sometimes, especially this time of year. So.
Cutting edge. And
Very much, yeah.
Taking the food from
the effect.
this evening's event, and you're going to distribute it to homeless people in Cardiff this evening on the way back home. Thank you very much. Love it.
Keep up the good work.
Less apathy.
More revolution.
Thank you.
As you're walking through.
Lovely evening. Good to be amongst company, sharing thoughts.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
I think it was a lovely evening, and also some great ideas, and hopefully the campaigning will continue.
It's good to see that Baswa is taking austerity so seriously and really making an effort to try and overcome and do something about it.
Rise up and come with me. We'll march in solidarity. Social workers, one and all, listen to my rallying call. From Birmingham to Liverpool in 2017, austerity criteria did meet. To deter was perceived as lazy shirkers, they employed lady adminers, officers, social workers to charge to find the deserving poor. They soon found that there was much, much more. From Birmingham to Liverpool in 2017, we'll fight for the rights of those that can fight without austerity. Same old words, same old story, problem solving but not for glory. Championing the rights of those that find it tough, like Kathy Come Home and the boys from the Black Stuff. Stand up for the Daniel Blakes, who the DWP did close the gates. This is the social workers' camp without austerity. From Birmingham to Liverpool in 2017, we'll fight for the rights of those that cannot fight without austerity. As well as the 100 people marching up and down with us, there were a few other people who did odd things. There's a lady at the back there called Anna, with other friends who couldn't get up to join us, but they did their own walk in Swansea. Yay! And then they rang us up and toasted us when they got to the top of their hill. So this is for them. Boot out austerity, sow the seed, direct action your aims can achieve. And as we walk our heads held high, we look back to Cymru and there we did espy a sight that made our poor hearts fill. A flock of blue t-shirts, a waving still. The boot and austerity, the boot and austerity.